I'm Deborah Gardner, hosting the introductory podcast of trips taken by members of the Wooden Canoe Heritage Association. For those of you unfamiliar with the WCHA, it encourages the building, restoration, and use of wood canvas, and birch bark canoes. With my husband, Greg Nolan, we paddled the Allagash Wilderness Waterway in northern Maine in early September 2015. This legendary waterway was saved from development almost 50 years ago by the activism of Supreme Court Justice William O. Douglas, Senator William Muskie, and the people of Maine. A dozen of us went in a group organized by the Mahoosic Guide Service, run by WCHA members Polly Mahoney and Kevin Slater. Polly was our guide, using wood and canvas canoes built by Kevin. Among the paddlers, the river has a mystique, which goes far beyond the fact that when you're paddling north, you are going downstream on the Allagash. I asked Sam Horine, a retired surveyor, why he went on the trip.
Well, if you live in Maine, they always ask you, have you done the Allagash? And we hadn't done it yet, so it was time to do the Allagash.
His wife, Patricia Horine, a retired social worker and master gardener, spoke of another aspect of the waterway.
And it's always been a fascinating idea of the wilderness that's really relatively close when you think about it. You don't have to fly around the world to get to a wilderness area.
We put in at Umsaskis Lake and then paddled the next few days to reach Allagash Falls. The river was low in contrast to its spring levels when there are level 2 and 3 rapids, but it can change at any time, as Sandy Peplow, a hospital administrator and farmer from Vermont, pointed out.
What's interesting is the river, there's parts of it that are very shallow and then it's also very deep. And so it's not the same anywhere along the river. It changes a lot. And so you sometimes can sort of get lulled into just being on the river, and then all of a sudden you realize you need to take your attention and pay attention to what you're doing because you don't want to hit any of those rocks.
Because of the low water, Polly taught the group how to pole in the shallows where paddles would have been ineffective. Greg Nolan, a retired lawyer and WCHA president, told me that
poling is a skill that is largely lost. Most people don't have the opportunity to do it and don't know how to do it. And so we practiced poling just below the remains of Long Lake Dam. We had a portage around the dam, and there was a slack water space below that, and then some rips which were ideal for learning.
In order to pole, you have to stand in the boat, balance yourself, and manipulate a pole that is about 12 feet long, which is a challenge for beginners, as Stephen Curtin, an osteopath, told me.
Learning to pole, which was really quite exciting. Taking a spill when the pole got caught under the boat and I went flying out. That was actually quite fun, too.
It was great to have a member of the younger generation. Grant Hawks, a 15-year-old deeply engaged in learning bushcraft, also learned to pole and appreciate the virtues of wood canvas canoes.
This was my first time poling at all, and so I was really able to learn how to pole and figure that out. I've been able to feel and enjoy the beauty of the wood canvas as I'm paddling.
Among the high points for the travelers was the landscape itself, which was surrounded by the boreal forest with lots of spruce trees. Sue Prettle, a wildlife biologist, captured this in her observations.
The high points of this trip have really just been the pristine beauty that's surrounding us every day, all day long. Everything from seeing the fog rise off the river in the morning to watching the sun set and seeing a bald eagle fly across the river and the cedar waxwing birds flying out to catch insects over the river.
For others in the group, it was the wildlife. As Jason Pardilla, a Penobscot Indian and IT specialist training to be a Maine guide, put it,
when you're on the Allagash, the variety of wildlife that you get to see daily is phenomenal.
Everyone was awed when we encountered moose. the shy and often elusive Maine state animal. Susan Leiter, a retired Maine forest ranger, put it in excited terms.
The moose sightings were amazing. 2 sightings of a mother moose with young was great.
And Sue Prettle spoke for so many people when she exclaimed,
even all of the lifelong Maine residents are thrilled to see a moose. It's just a really special thing. And, you know, as a wildlife biologist, I just like seeing wildlife in their native environment.
I found the day we spent at Allagash Falls a high point. At the warning signs on the river, we beached the canoes and then hiked the portage path above and around the falls, hearing their roar get louder and louder as we got closer and closer. The thundering waters of the Allagash Falls drop about 40 feet, yet we were able to swim in the quiet waters below, and the beach was a good place for lunch and a nap. What a contrast. Because there are so few roads into the Allagash wilderness, by design that is, the only people enjoying the falls and large stretches of the river are in boats for paddling or for fishing. So the canoeing was terrific by all accounts, and the social life of the group was equally so, when after a long day of paddling, we shared wonderful meals cooked by Polly, Jason Grant, and Sandy. And we started the days with readings by Bonnie Pooley, a retired English teacher and Maine guide.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Watch now how I start the day in happiness, in kindness.
I could not imagine a better experience on any river. I think that our guide Polly summed it up when she described her feelings about traveling the Allagash.
I never get tired of being on the river. You know, like some rivers you might do 1 or 2 times and then be, okay, I've done that, I want to go somewhere else. But the river's always changing depending on the water level, depending on the weather, the group,